This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass.
Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curran, and tonight I have a special guest, Marcia Mantell. She is the founder and leader of Mantell Consulting Group, and she's a national speaker. She's here to talk about retirement, but before your eyes start to glaze over, because a lot of people's eyes glaze over when they hear finances. And, oh, there they went. I have to snap them back in.
We lost them already.
Yeah, their eyes are rolling behind their heads. Their fingers are twitching at the remote. Like, do I want to watch this? But yes, before you do, don't. This is going to be a really exciting episode, I think, because, and it's something that we all, I think, regardless of your age, actually, I think the earlier that you watch something like this, probably the better. And the more fun you will ultimately have when you are ready to cast the work aside and focus on retirement. Now, retirement, I think, has a different look for depending on who you speak to. So how do you define retirement?
John, first, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be chatting with you tonight. And retirement's the most fun you're going to have in your life. Who are you kidding? This is the time we've all been waiting for, right? I mean, when you work, as most of us do, what are you always complaining about? I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to do things I want to do. I have to save up for my kids to go to college, or I have to pay down my mortgage. And by the time you get to your hopefully early 60s, that's all behind you. And you got nothing but freeway in front of you. However, if you didn't plan for the financial side of retirement early enough, this is where people get sort of their knickers in a bundle, that they don't have enough to do all the really fun things they want to do. And so I totally agree with you. The earlier we can get putting those good pins in place, set it and forget it, because then all of a sudden 60 comes and bites you in the behind, and you want to have that freedom. This is your time for freedom. And the best way I can describe it when I speak with audiences, I've had that question before. It's like, but how do we think about it now? I mean, we don't have the old retirement, gold watch, rocking chair. We're not just going to sit on a beach. The boomers, the Gen Xers, we're too busy to just be sitting around.
Absolutely.
So how do we do it? How do we think about it? And I think it is very similar to how we all were at 16 and 17 when we were trying to
Troublemakers?
Troublemakers, indeed. We're back to that. But now we actually have some money and we have a car. So we are in this really exciting era where you really don't know what's in front of you exactly. I mean, back then you were deciding, am I going to college, or am I going in the military? Am I going to go to work? But you wanted to get out of your parents' house. Most of us did.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. And so you were ready to launch into this land of independence. Then we got burdened. Mortgages, kids, wives, husbands, car payments, credit cards. And all that stuff bogged us down in our 30s and 40s and 50s. But now we're just about ready to jettison all of that. And so again, it's this time for independence and open highway. So I look at, some people don't want to call it retirement. They want to call it your Encore Act or your next chapter. Call it what you want. I just
Hmm.
call it freedom. Freedom
I
from the
love
job.
that. I've never heard it explained that way, but I love that. So what I'm hearing is that 65, the retirement age,
Hmm.
is the new 17.
Yes.
I loved being 17. You're
I
just
loved my senior year in high school.
so
Yeah,
blissfully ignorant about what lies ahead,
exactly.
and just everything is so glorious at that time. Everything is happy. Uh,
It really is.
and I joke, but people these days are really concerned, I think, about retirement. I personally don't think retirement I agree with you. It does not look like it did way back when. I don't want to sit on my front porch in a rocking chair drinking lemonade, or feeding the pigeons at the park, or whatever the terrible visions
Mm,
they put out
right.
there. Um, I really want to, my retirement, I think is going to be more of everything that I want, like that I love to do now. Visit with my friends, visit with family, travel, eat good food, experience life. Um,
Yes.
and you don't have to be a millionaire to experience life. Uh, I think you can place your own limits.
Hmm. And some will be placed for you, right? If you don't have millions, which almost no one has millions, there's
Right.
the few, select few. But for the rest of us, there is so much in our communities. There is so much, I'll just call it free stuff, that's better than the t-shirts you got, the free
Hmm.
t-shirts in college, so but we've never had the time to figure it out. So it's like the first places to go to explore your public library. It's also not like it was when we were in high
That's
school.
true.
These are massive resource centers, and the librarians know everything about the local area. And I live in the Boston area. I'm south of Boston, about 20 miles. All the libraries in the network, this is the same really everywhere that's near a big city. Like all these free museum passes, all of
Hmm.
the stuff in Boston, if you want to go in to do, there's a way to do it, and the librarians know. You don't have to spend a lot to embrace this era and all the things you didn't even know were here. I can't think of what it was. It was something very recent. I said to my husband, how could we have lived here for almost 40 years and we had no idea that was in Boston?
You,
Because we raised a couple of kids, we've built careers, we just didn't know.
I
Now we
was
have the time to
thinking
find
just
out.
that. So I had just that same thought the other day, where I thought we get so caught up in our day-to-day routines that as we travel down the road, we don't know really what's to the right or left of us. We barely know what's going to be in front of us, especially when you have a lot of deer in the area. They, they pop out of,
Then
they
pop out of the,
just pop out of the woods. But
yeah,
I mean, but you kind of appreciate winter sometimes because you can start to see things if you actually look. Um,
yes.
but I agree with you. There's so much going on in the community. There's so much to do, and most of the times we just go by it. We just pass
Yeah.
by. We don't even know it exists. And
Because
what
we're
we d-
racing, because we're
Mhm.
late to whatever the thing is, the appointment, the job, the meeting, the whatever. Yeah. And we don't have to do that anymore as we move into, even as we transition into retirement. One thing I think is important to note also, retirement's not a day. Like we're working, we're doing all this stuff today, and then tomorrow we've stopped.
Mhm.
And there's nothing that we have, no anchor, no structure, no framework, no nothing. So these years before you stop working, if you can, I mean, I actually dealt with two people last week and this week dealing with getting into Medicare because they got laid off unexpectedly. So, okay, that's going to happen for some folks. But if it doesn't, if you can make these years, and really it's from 55, 58, until your mid 60s, these are transition years, and use them as transition years. Try to try to fit in some of those new things that you didn't know existed. Pick up your head it's like, oh, look at all the stuff around here.
Well,
And
actually,
try.
it's funny that you mentioned that because I'm actually going through that right now, and I'm trying to set up a transition. Um, uh, I don't want to. I'll say a business because so I wrote this down earlier. So when I was young, and my dad would always share these life lessons with me, and I remember this one time we're running, we're jogging. It's the '70s, and
Yeah.
uh, and he's wearing the sweatbands
And the short
wrist-
shorts. Oh,
in the
I know that
wristband.
era.
Yeah, so he said, what you really need to do, Johnny, is make a machine that makes create a machine that makes money. I was like, oh, that sounds great. How do I do it? I don't know. You need to figure that out for yourself. He
Right.
actually did know how to do it. He would he purchased commercial properties and then either took over the business or put a business in it, ran the business for a year, and then would
Yeah.
sell the business and got rent. So he had a built-in renter, and then he'd go and buy the next property. So he had his own way. He figured it out.
Yeah.
Um, and now I have had a corporate job for over 27 years.
Mm.
But I've always had the entrepreneurial streak in me, which explains I've been doing podcasting now for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really been about the money. It's been about the learning and kind of bringing people along with the journey, because I know a lot of other people are sharing, the similar type of situations and circumstances and challenges that that are kind of universal. We all go through them. So I wanted to, I don't know, wanted to just share that journey. But
Well, before you go on, let me just, if I could comment, so fascinating about your dad. My dad, who is still with us, is your dad still with you?
no,
Oh,
he died in 2013
oh, I'm sorry.
from
Uh,
ALS. But
mm,
again, I think this is a really good segue to say to the audience that here we're talking about retirement, but this what we're talking about doesn't really just apply to a retirement. It actually it applies to if you're trying to rebuild your life uh, for whatever reason. Maybe you got divorced, maybe you've lost your job, maybe you've had health issues. Um, a swift kick in the ass has really that's what we've been focusing on is
says it
helping
all.
helping people through those moments in our life that we really don't ask for, uh, but they really define us, I think, in the long
I
run.
I totally agree with that. And again, we don't look at our building of our career or these setbacks that we have on the journey through life. We don't look at them for the always as the opportunity they really present.
Hmm.
And, so your dad's so interesting that he'd buy the property, do his thing, sell it, and have a rental annuity stream and a
Yes.
rental stream. My dad does the same thing. He's 87. Yeah, he's 87. He just came over the other day. He lives in Connecticut. I live in
Okay.
Massachusetts. And he has kept his last property. And he still, goes
Well,
into work
my
a little
mom is
bit,
90. My
few
mom is
times.
going on 93, and she still manages the properties.
Okay.
And I will tell you, if you want to remain sharp mentally
Yeah.
into old age, stay engaged in life.
Yes.
These challenges, we moan and complain about them, but they really it's like a mental workout. It keeps you sharp and
And
young.
current,
Yes.
with this technology, which is both fascinating and incredibly disturbing. If we don't stay on top of it, it's getting so fast and so furious. If you're not engaged in something, some work related or work like thing, you're going to lose any edge you ever had with the
Yeah.
technology. It's just moving too quickly, and you need a reason to learn AI. You need a reason to get better at whatever is going to be here tomorrow, so.
Well, I'm using it in my transition plans.
Are.
I'm using it to
Ooh.
do research, um, and to help me do compare, like do analysis, do comparison
Yep.
and things. Um, it's really, if you ask it the right question, it will pull up all this information. You can get very focused, and it learns what you're looking for, and it learns you. And the
Mm.
AI is so impressive right now. It's kind of funny. I have to share this. This is it's a little off. It's a little off humor, but it's kind of but it's funny.
Yeah.
So my friend was talking about how he and his wife were just having a discussion um, about something going on, and she dropped the F-bomb and said, it's effing crazy. And the the Alexa heard her,
Oh,
and Alexa responded and said, "Well, that escalated fast." Because it has that advanced AI now. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Little
just the
feature.
response too, like you can
Yep.
talk to it normally, like you would a normal person, and it responds to
It
you like a
does.
normal person.
And
So,
that's why it's both fascinating and terrifying, right? Because now you have a third person in your conversation,
yes, but you
Yeah.
can use that. So for me, the transition, um, it has reawakened the 17-year-old in me, really, to remember back when I used to like go out and enjoy the outdoors and go fishing and go camping and you know just a lot of those things that I used to do and enjoy when I was younger. And but as I got married, had kids, had a career, had to pay
Yep.
for the house, the car,
Right.
real life sets in.
Hmm.
And we have, as we get older, I think that we have to make choices to say, this is enough. I need to recharge. I need
Yeah.
to do these things for myself because the clock is ticking
Yes, it
and
is.
you're not 17 anymore.
And
And
we know where this story ends.
right,
I
right,
mean, we hope we get that 30-year retirement, but what if we don't?
right. And
Yeah.
it's not to be, you know, to think on the negative side of things that the bad things are going to happen. Like on this podcast, we talk about death a lot, but death is a motivator to live.
Yes.
Um, I mean, I continued this show on after my co-host died of brain cancer.
Yes, I
And
saw that. I'm very sorry.
uh, thank you. It's,
It
he
doesn't get any easier.
his spirit lives on in this show. I
Yeah.
put out shorts of our old shows now that are 10 years old. And
Yeah.
I'm like, go out there, Tommy, and work for me. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he would love it.
Yeah.
Um, because this is all bigger than the both of us. So we always knew that from the beginning. And I think that's true for a lot of people, not that they have
Hmm.
a podcast, but that there's something in their life that they know that's bigger than they are. Like if you have a family, if you're married with children,
Yep.
you know that family is so much bigger than you and
Than
your
just you.
spouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just you. Um, and
It
I
is
think that's
so,
inspiring.
I was just going to say the same word. I find that inspiring, and I try to encourage others who maybe are not quite there where we are. I lost my closest girlfriend
Mm, I'm sorry.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
So every year, it was just on Monday, March 9th was her birthday. Um, my other girlfriend and I and our kids now, who's ever around, we go and celebrate Linda's birthday on
Uh,
her actual birthday. We go to the same restaurant every year, and it's our way of remembering her.
yes,
And it is inspiring, even though it was so long ago.
but her spirit lives on because
Yes,
of that. And
exactly.
I mean,
And we
that's
talk about, oh, Linda would have loved this. Linda has a granddaughter now that she would be over the moon about,
right.
so life has gone on in a meaningful, real way, but we don't lose those people who have passed first. We just need to incorporate them. And it is inspiring and it's kind of lovely. It's that one day a year. We just carve out Linda's birthday.
Yeah. To
That's
me, that shows how much you really care for somebody and what they meant to you in your life. Um, you know, it's sad when people die, and I'm going to tell you right now that when I die, I expect there to be an ocean of tears. I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do because when you cry for somebody else, that shows that how much how deeply that you
the
cared and
depth.
and what you meant to them.
Yes.
And I want to mean, I want to have I don't know, it brings meaning in my own life, I think, if I can help other people and that I impacted them in a positive way
I think
somehow.
that's why we get up in the morning. It's to make a difference to someone else.
Right.
For me, this is what my retirement journey has been. I couldn't have told you that at 32 when I landed at Fidelity, right? I mean, I just landed, I needed a job. I had a 1 year old. I hated my other job. I needed another job. And it, you don't realize how many people you can touch and how important it is for them. And so if you know something that you can share, and that's why sort of this whole transition, what do you do? What's the best stuff about you? As you're talking about working in corporate America, I always described it as I was filling my tool bag, right, with
Mm-hmm.
all this information, this way of looking at things, the business acumen, the product side, the marketing, whatever you're in, or if you're in
You can
manufacturing, the
apply it to
stuff you
life.
make, right? So you're filling your tool bag with all this amazing stuff. Well, what are you going to do with it? There
Right.
is stuff to be done for someone else. And I think we've lost that a little bit, broadly speaking. But those of us who do this in the kind of evangelical way, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not really a preacher, not really, not a woman of the cloth or anything, but
I call
I,
it John Osophy.
there you go. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Because people do need the help and the information. Well, I have the information, not on everything, but on retirement stuff. I am more than happy to share that. And,
yeah.
it
And
has a purpose.
no, and we all really I think one of the things I learned not to do from my dad was that he tried to do everything himself and no one could do it better than him. And that's just not true. And my time is worth money uh,
Yes.
because I could spend my time in other ways. And sometimes it I pay for people to use their skills and
Yes.
expertise, and it saved me time and money in the long run. Uh,
Right. Know your
that
resources. That's what I taught my girls. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know how to do everything, but know your resources so you can use your time in the most effective way that you can. Yeah.
right.
I don't do everything myself. I do a lot, but not everything.
Yeah, as you're talking, I just had this thought about like all of this. It's so people today are really struggling, I think, and you touched upon it in what you were saying, and to me, it relates to our dreams, and people are so nose to the grindstone, living the rat race, and so consumed with just honestly just trying to make ends meet, trying to get your kids through college. Like I'm getting my second child through college right now, and
Congrats.
and I'm not going in debt this time because I'm paying as I go, but it's like paying another mortgage. So
Yeah.
it, I have no extra cash to do
Right.
this, but this is something that I would do if I had to go in debt. I'd do anything I have. It's important to me, uh, to do this. But you get so caught up in financing and paying for everything that I think you lose sight of what life is really all about. And if you're not careful, it just, I mean, it's just over
It
like that, 10
consumes you
years.
while you're running in that
Yeah,
gerbil wheel, and then it's over.
right. So
And yeah.
so getting back to the transition.
Hmm.
So my thought on all this is that I have a good job. I know it well, and everything is good there. I have, and I hope no one's listening because I have some extra bandwidth, that I mean, I like to pursue my passions outside of work. This is one of my passions. And this transition that I'm setting up for myself is that money-making machine that my dad was talking about. It's an enterprise that will pay for itself and become a long-term revenue. Uh, but but I'm putting my kid through college right now. I'm strapped for cash. I've got a 401k that I'm about to hit 59 and a half, so the rules will change and I can withdraw without the penalty, but I still gets added to my,
Income tax.
income tax, and I'm making, my top
Good enough
dollar right
money.
now. So if I add to it, I'm gonna pay a lot of taxes on it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's this opportunity here that I feel like if I don't take it, someone else is going to grab it and I'm going to regret it the rest of my life.
Mm.
The other
So you
part
need
of
some
it,
investment dollars.
yes. But the other part of it is that as I do my research, as I build my plan, I do have an MBA and a background, and it's in risk management in insurance. So I tend to assess my risks and take calculated risks because you can't walk out the door without taking some type of risk. So I believe that, and I believe that this risk is going to just take me to another level, take my family to another level, and create a legacy really for myself that my parents created for me. And that is more of a mindset than anything else, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And everyone's saying, no, 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 you can't do that.
Mm.
But I'm going to prove them wrong, and I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to make it very successful. I just know it. I haven't felt this driven since graduate school when I was working through graduate school. And it was like, come hell or high water, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's a
fascinating.
dream.
Yes, it is fascinating. So I have a couple of thoughts for you. Um, when I was 40, for my 40th birthday, I wanted to quit my job at Fidelity. But unfortunately, that was in 2001. And my husband lost his job at Polaroid because Polaroid was imploding.
Mm.
And then we had September 11th. It was
Oh,
not a good time to quit my job. So I was the breadwinner for a few years while Dan reinvented his career, which was fine. We worked together. So partnership is,
right.
I want. Are you married? You have
Yes.
children? You said okay. So be together on this because it does affect both of you.
Yes.
Uh, But when I did quit in 2005, the market was at this rip-roaring high for the time. People thought I was crazy. Why are you leaving all that money on the table,
Mm-hmm.
Marcia? Well, because there's such a thing as enough. And people don't somehow understand that. It's always more, 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 more. For me, it was enough. I didn't have enough where I could stop working, but I had enough where I could leave for a year. And then I had to find a job. Well, I got 1 month off. I spent it with my younger daughter, and my older one was at camp. And I got a call to do some contract work with another company. Well, when someone calls you, you say yes.
Yeah.
So that's point number two. Say yes to opportunities when they come. And so the long and the short of it is, I've had my own business for 20 years. I put my kids through college too. They had skin in the game. I'm a big believer. Your
Yeah.
kids have to own this college
Yes.
experience. So they came out with debt. It's a good thing. They've got outstanding credit scores. They, manage their loans really well. But it was a strategy, right? It was by
Mm-hmm.
design. So if you really want this, it sounds like this is a
Oh,
big burning flame in the best of ways,
yeah.
then you will make it happen, but maybe set some boxes. So when I left Fidelity, I was 44, and I knew there was no way a woman hitting 50 was going to get a job in corporate America again. So if I couldn't make my little business work, I had to be ready in 5 years at 49 to start looking for a job again.
Hmm.
Well, it worked. I didn't have to look for a job again, but I was very mindful of,
Mm-hmm.
all right, Marcia, you've got 5 years to figure this thing out. What are you going to do? Who's going to hire you? Can you eat, can you put food on the table? And so I had a very specific box that I could play in for a very specific time period. Anything can happen on any day. If this doesn't work, you still learned a ton.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
put a bit of a box around it. And if you're a risk management guy, which you are, you're not going to burn every dollar. So you
Oh, yeah, no,
invest.
I have the box already
Yeah. So, I mean, these
created.
are just these practical things that some
Yeah,
people
no, I
listening
know.
to
I
us might be
appreciate
thinking,
that.
oh my God, they're nuts. Why did she quit her job? Or what is he thinking? No, but we do it in a measured way,
Right.
and I think,
So I haven't didn't share this with you, and I shared it in older episodes, but I don't talk about it all that much, I don't think. But back when my middle child, who is 19 right now and in college, uh, when she was just born, um, we were up to our eyebrows in debt. I mean, like several $100,000 in debt, not including the house. Because
oh,
I have I have two master's degrees. So I had my student loans in there and, credit card debt. And I entered marriage with
yeah,
credit card debt. And it was something we struggled with. But after my middle child was born, I sat down with my wife and I said, our marriage is going to fail if we don't do something right now. Our family is going to fail because I can't continue like this. I had like a 1,500 pound gorilla on
yeah.
my back because I was the sole provider.
Mhm.
It was important for us that someone be at home to raise our kids, and and I could make more money. So I
Yeah,
worked. So so long story short is in about 2 years' time, we paid off well over 100,000 in that. And also in that time, when I started getting traction, I lost my job. I had two
yep,
young kids, and I realized, and I had to think to myself, I need a job,
yep.
and I've got specialized degrees, but nothing's popping up for it. So what do I do? And I thought, you know what? I don't really care what I do as long as I bring home the bucks and can provide for my family and move forward on my financial plan like
Yep.
we've been doing. Keep moving on that and everything will work out just fine. As soon as I thought that, my old job called me back. I had a better paying job working from home. And,
Wow.
it was like, and, you know, started the next week or whatever. So
Yep.
it was, I think it was just that mindset
Yes.
too that was like, you know what, whatever it is, I'm going to make it work. And I
Yes.
knew what was important to me.
Yep.
Um, so, you know, it can be done. And, it still took us a while and still took us a long time to, you have to live life and
Mhm.
balance things. But you should set your mind, set your mind on the things that you can control. And what I
Yeah.
did is just to share, I wrote down everything that owed money to, bills, just everything. I had a brain dump, sat
Mm-hmm.
down, everything, wrote every bit of money, wrote down what I thought I needed, like um like we needed a bed. I mean, our mattress was so lumpy and the springs were killing us. It was killing our
Poking up.
back.
Yeah.
So I put that down on there. Things like money doesn't buy you happiness, but it can buy you things that will make you more comfortable. And
Yes.
that, so we needed a bed.
Yeah.
So so
Been there.
I started making a game out of it.
Yes.
Um, and as we'd get along in our financial plan and have a little bit of money, I try to say, okay, I need to get this. What can I, what do I actually really need?
Mm-hmm.
And how much do I need to put to, towards
Toward it.
meeting that need? And oftentimes, I mean, I spent half as much money as I expected,
Yes.
but I also wrote down, everything that I owed and just started going down the list and paying it off. And
But you said the key words, John, that so many of the young people don't know this trick yet.
okay,
You have to write it down. Yes, there are apps. Yes, there's online stuff. Yes, there's technology. It doesn't give you that visceral, tangible, either the, oh
you're right. No,
crap,
you're right
I,
there. So
right,
you
I
make
owe
it
this much.
tangible. You
And
take it from a
yes,
thought in your mind,
yep,
which is not tangible, and you
right.
put it on paper, and now it's
Yes.
something you can hold. You've made it real. You've made something
You,
real just by
yes,
writing it.
just by writing it. And you can share it with your partner because she doesn't know what the hell's going on in your head. This
Right.
is Dan and I. We've been married 42 years
Oh,
now.
wow.
Yeah. We got married right out of college. And to this day, Daniel thinks I can read his mind, and I cannot. So,
I won't tell him.
yeah, right. And that's like our biggest issue, right? It's communication. And when we write it down, either if he's trying to explain something to me or I want him to know
Hmm.
whatever I'm thinking, as soon as we get it on paper, it's like, oh, that's what you're trying to say? Oh, you can do that. Oh, no, we are not doing
Yeah.
that.
It's
So
interesting too, when you write those things down, if you just put that piece of paper aside and forget about it,
yes,
when you find that piece of paper later, you'll realize that you hit just about everything
every
on that
one.
list,
Yes,
like without even really realizing it, that it's the way your subconscious mind works is
just
smart.
got it onto the page. We've
I
done
just,
the same exact things. And it also is an approach for this transition into retirement, which is why I like to start around 55. And I do everything in 5 year buckets,
okay,
5 year interims, because 10 years is too big, right?
right.
People can't really successfully get their heads around 10. But you can see 5 years from now, your child will have graduated from college within the next 5 years. Excuse me, you'll be however old you'll be or however old your wife will be. we can do things in these 5-year tranches.
Yeah.
So one of the books I wrote, I like to play with retirement stuff. And we tell everyone, no, you have to retire, you have to save to retire. We never help you with how do you go about this? All right. So I had this idea of a plan. I did not have a clever name, John, I'll tell you, but I call it Plan ABC. And it's on 2 sheets of paper. It's a book, but
Okay.
I turned it to landscape format. Put the first 5 years on the top page and the second 5 years on the bottom page. It's a workbook.
Okay.
And you write down the year, so 2026, and how old you are. Those are the first 2 things,
Yeah.
and how old your partner is. And then you just fill those 2 lines in through the 10 boxes. And when Dan and I did this the first time, we were 60 at that time. We started at 60 and you end up at 70. It's like, 70?
Yeah.
My God, these next 10 years, we're going to hit all these massive milestones. Now, we are not stupid people, John. We knew we were going to be 70
Right.
and what came between. But when we wrote that down, when you see that on the
Yeah.
page, like,
No, I'm with you. I've
yeah,
had a similar experience. Like, especially like I was providing for my kids. So I knew that they had certain needs. They were going to like need a car at 16 or,
right.
or something live, something I
Yeah,
had planned. But putting it down on the paper and kind of seeing that, it,
yes.
it, it makes it click in a different
It
way.
really does. And it works as this transition phase. Like, I'm sure since you've now told me you have your box, I'm pretty sure you have an end date in mind for when you're going to step off the corporate track and now go full on into your new adventure. Um, not everything hits exactly the day we want it to hit. Like I said, I wanted to quit at 40. I had to wait till
Hmm.
44. Okay. But that was still the goal, that I still needed to make that happen. And with retirement transition, we're looking at between 30 and 40 years of no formula. There's no course catalog, there's no instructions, there's no recipe. It's just
Hmm.
empty until we fill it. And so, using this timeline box idea, what are the things we wanted to do? Not what we have to do. We already know we have to do. What
Right,
do we
right.
want to do? And as we talk, it gave us this construct for having an incredibly interesting conversation. And we thought we'd spend an hour. Like, well, how long can it take? Well, 4 hours later, we were still talking, and we had come up with all these ideas and we hadn't even started exploring anything
Yeah.
yet. Just, oh, well, what about this? Or, oh, what about that? That leads you into these, what
And to
become
me, that makes you
transition
so
conversations.
happy because
Mhm.
in today's world, I think a lot of people feel very limited. They feel tied down. Um, they they feel, I mean, I say I have felt very just restricted.
Yeah.
Can't do anything, locked in place, stagnating, I mean, all the negative things. And I just actually, when Tommy died, everything was hitting all at once.
Yeah.
And it was probably the toughest time of my life, but I decided at that time to make changes
Mhm.
and to start doing the things that had been talking about or let them go.
Yes.
So I
And
think
not
that
burden you, don't carry them on your shoulders.
there's so many things we want to do. And that's perfectly okay. I mean, that's awesome that, to want to do things. But if you're just going to talk about it and you're never going to do it, what's the point? We spend so much time and energy, and after so much time and of not doing it, then you start feeling down about yourself because you haven't.
And you're a
So
failure.
yeah, and you call yourself a failure and all these things when
Yeah.
it's really your decision, you're the one holding yourself back. Or maybe you have your reasons not to do that, and you need to just face up to it and just say it's okay and accept it and throw it out. So it's really for me, it was looking inside rather at what I needed rather than looking at what the world needed and what was coming at me at the time, because I couldn't control any of that.
Right. So you gave yourself permission, right? I give myself permission for this kind of time. One of the techniques I use, again, I'm very tactical and tactile. Um, I think the best thing pretty much ever invented are color-coded markers and a calendar and a wall calendar. For years with the kids when they were home, everybody had a color. So I could look from washing dishes or making dinner over to
Hmm.
my wall calendar. It's like, oh, there's something green on Wednesday. What do we need Lindsay? What's Lindsay doing that day? Or blue, Dan was traveling, and so I didn't even need to know what it was. I just, with the color, could see that my family needed something. But it gave us, again, the structure to organize. I've got commitments, because the kids don't drive and the kids don't cook when they're 6 years old. So you sort of got
Yeah.
to step up to the plate and be a parent for a while. But I used the calendar for the family, and I had a separate calendar for me, because where was I going to have any time? Now,
Hmm.
there wasn't any, to be honest, when the kids were both home and both little. But as you get through that era, then it became, oh, I have some time. Oh, the kids are at summer camp for 3 weeks. Woohoo, this is great. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Because that was a gift for them they loved going, and I loved not having them at home for those 3 weeks. So it gave us that respite and that permission to do things that we wanted to do, and without having to
Yeah.
deal with the kid getting them here and there and everywhere.
You know,
So,
as you're talking, I'm thinking about what's run through my head is most people are very adverse to goal setting, to
yes.
structure in their life. They want to be spontaneous. And I'm hey,
Uh,
I'm right
Great.
there. I'm right there. I
Yep.
want to be free like the wind. You know, I want to be, I just want to have freedom and live the way I want to live and, be spontaneous. But what you talked about, I feel is the key.
Mm,
And it's not, it's counterintuitive.
it
You
is,
need
isn't it?
structure. You need goals. And in the structure and in the goals is where you find the freedom.
Freedom.
Like you said, you mentioned your family's calendar. I'm a provider. I'm like, I've got the provider syndrome. I've got
Hmm.
to look after my family. But you have to make time for yourself. But
Yes.
until you look at what you're up against, whether it's family activities or whether it's your finances, know
Yeah.
what you're up against. And then you can plan better to meet the things that you really want. Um,
It's so true. And we've lost a lot of that, I feel, with the
I did,
technology. I just read a headline the other day that the Gen Zs, the youngest working generation right now, they are uh, limiting their technology. You don't get a relationship with a computer or with an app. We need the
right.
people, we need the structure, we need the social, we need the community, we need to be doing for others, and none of that happens in technology alone. So I thought that was fascinating. I didn't have a chance to read the article, but we might be starting to circle back to some of these fundamentals. These are just
Well,
fundamentals of
yeah.
being an adult.
So if AI takes over all of these, takes the thought out of a lot of these things that we have to do, I mean, and I'll tell you, it's very helpful writing a business plan.
Mm,
Um, if you know how to ask the right questions, you
right.
can not use, you can use it as a tool. And it's important to be able to use these things as a tool, but
Mhm.
it's also going to put a lot of people out of work as
Yeah.
well. And I have a 15-year-old son, who I,
Mm,
you know, who I think about his future. And you're right. I mean, the trades and the hands, people who can work with their hands,
yeah.
um, my dad always said avoid that. My dad said work with your brain because
Hmm.
your body can fail and
Interesting.
but chances are you'll have your brain.
Until this technology, and
Yeah, right.
because you can't see that far in the future, right? I mean, who would have
Right.
ever thought?
Yeah. And actually, you just reminded me of something too, because as you're speaking, I thought about a conversation I had with my friend yesterday that when we went to school, we didn't go to school to learn a certain job or how to do something. We learned how to learn.
Yeah.
And so therefore, right now at almost 60 years of age, I look at life as challenges that, like I want to take on.
Yeah.
These are fun.
I want to find a creative solution
Right.
to whatever. Right. And I talk about that with women a lot, especially women. When I went to school in 1979, I graduated high school. Girls were just really getting in mass the
Yeah.
opportunities to go to college. Somebody opened the door for us. A little bit earlier boomers, they got through in fits and starts, but my year and the 80s, it was a land grab. It was amazing how many girls were in college at that time. But you went to college. You didn't go to college to be a lawyer. You didn't go to college to be a doctor. There were always a couple, right, who knew what they wanted to do.
Right. Yeah.
Almost everybody, you just went to college.
And to
And then you got
learn what you wanted to do.
right, because you got well, again, it's paper. You
Yeah.
got this all the offerings at the college in a once a semester, the book came out and you would pour through it. Like, what did you need? How many credits did you need? How were you going to fill
Hmm.
them? And you pour over these books, and then you would race over with your card to get your first dibs because there were only so many seats in the classroom, right? So, none of this online stuff. It
Had to
wasn't invented yet.
run from building to building across campus to get signatures.
Signatures, yes. But we did. We just went to college and we'd have these great discussions in the middle of the night, about
Oh yeah.
whatever. And, you got a pizza and a conversation.
I was
And
just thinking
those,
about that gross pizza. Oh my goodness.
oh, we had really good pizza in Rochester, New York, let me tell you. It was
I went
good
to
stuff.
the University of Florida and they had something called Gator Pizza from the food service there. Now, it it was more grease than anything. I mean, I just remember holding a slice and it was just pouring out. I mean, if it's so bad that you can't eat it and you're in college,
And you're a college kid, right? I mean, like,
you
that's
know
bad.
that's bad.
Yeah, that's really bad.
But
But
so
we learned a different approach to things and how to
yes.
think about these problems and how to try to solve the problems and how to stay up half the night and get to physics at 8 a.m. You know,
Yeah.
that was a challenge.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And also how to line up your alibis if you missed and overslept. Just
Exactly.
pre, you know, discuss those things with your roommates before, in case the professor ever calls.
That's right. We're all on the same page
We're
here.
all
Who
on the
knows
same
what we're
page.
doing?
So
Right.
so funny. I knew this episode was going to be entertaining, and we're almost at the hour.
I
So I
can't
want,
believe it.
yeah, I mean, it just has flown by. I want to make sure I ask you about Social Security because I know that I mean, you are expert at retirement and all the different funding mechanisms for retirement. You have a lot of, certifications and acronyms after your name. I wasn't going to bore, tell the audience about that. They can go to your website
Right.
and,
I gotta look it up.
they
Yeah.
can look up, Marcia Mentel,
Right. You'll get lots of
retirement.
info.
Yeah,
Right.
there's lots of really good information, and I really loved the Marcia's retirement kitchen because I love to cook
Yeah.
as well. I used to cook more with when the kids were young, but you know, it really is uh, cooking because you bring together all these various ingredients. And
Yes.
I think that, that's part of being able to leverage what's available to you. You have to know the ingredients. You have to know what you have. So
Yes.
I think some of the listeners might really like to go and go to your site and see what's cooking in your retirement kitchen because
Yeah.
and start thinking about just really start breaking the ice on some of these subjects, even if it seems like retirement is a long way away. Uh,
Yeah.
it really is not. And the sooner that you start, things in motion, the
Right.
better. I mean, if you started thinking about retirement back in your 20s, um, you're probably not listening to a show about retirement. You're probably out in Hawaii playing
Living
golf
routine.
or out on your super yacht or something. I don't know. You'd be well off, uh, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. But Social Security is a really important retirement topic. I'm going to say it in one sentence. Social Security is not going bankrupt. It will be there. It will be there for you, even if you're young, a younger person listening to this. It will maybe take a different form for our kids. I'm not sure quite what it's going to look like. My kids are 30 and 35, exactly what they'll have. But it's
Hmm.
this concept of a social safety net. And we have it in America. It's a gigantic law. We will continue to have it. And that's what sort of bringing the kitchen analogy in was really to try to make retirement more fun, the idea of how you get there. So the latest book I wrote is a Social Security book, and it's called Social Security Lightly Toasted, Not Burnt.
Yeah.
And it is because the program will be here. It is a bit in a crisis today, but only a piece of it. And, the boomers and the older folks, they are going to hold Congress's feet to the fire. It's
I
just going
saw
to
where
be here.
you said that historically speaking, that these decisions happen very close, like they won't make changes until
The bitter end
the bitter
till
end.
2032.
So it's just a
Yeah.
cycle that keeps repeating itself.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of people get worried. There's a lot of concern, and we all know that they're not using our money the way that we wanted to use it. I mean, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Um, when it comes down to government spending, I think we can all agree government spends way, way, way too much of our
Yes.
money.
Yeah. But this, interestingly, with Social Security, because it can only be funded by law by payroll taxes. So only FICA goes into that trust fund.
Hmm.
So only FICA dollars can pay out, to my dad. He loves getting his Social Security. Um, it's a closed loop system. So in order to shore up the reserve account, the savings account. That's the issue. The savings account is being used today to
Hmm.
pay the retirees, and it's going to run dry. And payroll taxes can only fund about 80% of the obligations. So we need a new funding source. Well, Congress has to come up with that. What are you guys waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, they seem to have funding for anything else that they really want.
Yes. So it's going to be an interesting 6 years. We're coming close to the end. But what I really don't like, so many people, it's half of the seniors only have Social Security as an
Mm.
income source. That's the group I worry about because I know they are on pins and needles. If this gets cut in any way, they're screwed. So that's why there's so much angst and so much fear and anxiety amongst the older folks. Um,
Hmm.
it's really a serious problem. But I do have relatively high hopes that our Congress will get their act together. And 2032, they'll do the same thing they did in 1982. The reserve fund went dry. And surprise, we had 1983 amendments Look at,
Well, I didn't realize that. I guess I
oh yeah.
was not, that was before I really cared.
Right, right, me too. So I imagine the era was exactly the same, that the older folks were really, really anxious and very concerned about their funding, and then Congress comes through.
Yeah. You know,
It's the game.
do you know who Tim Ferriss is? He's a writer. He wrote The 4 Hour Work Week. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
so what he said that he said he coined this term, the new rich. And he
Mm,
said that, kind of talked about retirement and about, there's this understanding that you need all this money when you retire. And if you don't have all this money, you're up a creek. But he said it's really there's this new definition of what it means to be rich. And what it means is how long can you live, like maintain your current lifestyle without having to work? And the longer you can do that defines how rich you are. So
that's
it's
so
not really dependent on the dollar value, but how far you can take that dollar or how
yes,
far that dollar takes you. And I think that's brilliant because I don't, like I said, I want to keep living my life and travel and such, but I don't have extravagant needs.
right.
So I can, we've maintained a low cost of living. I don't need to bump that up. So you really don't need to. There was another book I read too called "You Can Retire Earlier Than You Think,"
Yes.
and that talked
And,
about
you know,
happiness in retirement.
I call us the regular people. We're not the rich people, we're just the
Right.
regular people. We've all had to live within our means. If you're not living within those means and you're, racking up the credit card debt now or taking out the second mortgage at 65 or any of those kinds of
Hmm.
behaviors, you're living beyond your means. Those folks are going to have a rougher time. But if you are not looking to buy, a Lamborghini when you
Hmm.
retire, unless has been your one dream and you've appropriately saved for that, you should be pretty okay. You just don't go from living a modest lifestyle to an extravagant one.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's right. It's like um, people are expecting something different than the reality of it.
And it is hard. There's so much media, so much, what are there, 8 billion channels now? You can pay for some and not pay for others. I don't know. There's so much that looks so much better than what us regular folks have. It's like, but why do you want it? I
Yeah.
don't know. I think I have to just sort of look in the mirror a little bit more. And the other thing I think we don't do well, we don't celebrate our accomplishments. It's still sticking in my head the debt you and your wife were in. When Dan and I got married, I came in with a boatload of student debt, and Dan was a grad student.
Hmm.
It took until I was 40 to pay off my student loans.
What a feeling
We
that is to pay that
we
off.
did it. Like, celebrate that.
I
Yeah,
used
it
to call
stunk.
them after I paid it off. I used to call them just to hear, "Oh, you have a zero balance."
Yeah.
It used to make me feel really, really good. So I know, I understand
We
that.
forget to celebrate that. Like,
Yes.
you did it. You had tremendous amount of debt. We put an addition on our house. We had a tremendous amount of debt. We worked our way through it as partners, and we need to celebrate this stuff. It's not that we've got $80 billion. We're not owning some massive company.
Right.
We walked the path we walked, and it's good. It's really good. And our kids are thriving. Like, what more can you really ask for?
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that. I think that's perfect. Perfect way to end this discussion. Uh, I so appreciate your time and
Thank you,
and
John.
and this conversation, and I feel like I got so much out of it. And it actually makes me feel good about the transition path that I'm creating, and also gave me a lot of things to, really think about,
So glad.
in that regard. And I hope that the listeners also, gets them thinking, because that's what Swift Kicking the Ass is all about, to get people moving in a positive direction. So
Yeah.
thank you.
It's been great. Thank you for inviting me on. This has been a delightful conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you can, just to make sure I'm directing people to the right place,
Oh, sure.
it is Mantell. Gosh, my eyes are terrible these days. MantellRetirementConsulting.com, right?
That's it. That is my website. Yes.
All right.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Marcia. And
thanks, John.
thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Hope you got your ass moving. Until then, until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.